Platform.
You're welcome.
Oh my god! For free.
Take one.
Are we good to start? Welcome to Platform F. I'm with Aishah. How are you feeling?
A bit nervous, clearly. But I'm okay. I'm mostly excited. I think this is a really, really good project to work on, and I'm really happy to be a part of it.
Aishah, I want to know where you grew up and, how was the life so far?
So I am the oldest of 5 girls. I grew up here in Melbourne for, I would say, about 10 years. My first 10 years were here, and then I lived in Malaysia for about 5. And then my family came back here when my mom had her last child. And we've been here pretty much ever since.
Did you find it different living in Malaysia and then coming back again?
Yeah, I think it was a really big, cultural difference. But also, I would say that my experience from the typical person, first of all, here, and then also in Malaysia is quite different. So my family are very, strict Muslims. And, they're a different sects, but they're one of the strictest ones. So they're very, stick within their own communities, quite sheltered. I didn't go to, normal academic schools. I went to private Muslim schools, or didn't really I wasn't really taught academics, just more so Quran. So that experience was generally really different anyways. But I would say overall Malaysia was really good for me because I went to about 7 different schools. One of them was a boarding school. Going somewhere and sticking out and being having to reintroduce yourself in a language you're not familiar with again and again and again is obviously it's really good for my confidence, because I was really shy. I used to be really shy, almost non-verbal, and having to introduce myself a lot and get to know people again and again made me more confident and made me more sure about who I was, because I kind of had to, because my surroundings were changing all the time, I had to make myself the stable fixture. Does that make sense? You know how when your safety or your stability is maybe your home, it's I made it myself because everything else around me was kind of changing. Yeah. So it was really good because I learned about who I am and what's important to me. And
I think that's a great way to sort of look at that, because I would find it very challenging.
I mean, I think it was good for me. I was really quiet. I was really shy, and because I was also neurodivergent, I guess I just didn't get along with people very well. And so going to Malaysia and going to all these different schools meant I stopped trying so hard to fit in, and I just focused on making sure that I was having a good time and that I knew what I wanted, or that what felt right to me. Obviously that was over the 5-year process, but I think it was just overall, I'm glad I did it.
Now you live in Melbourne, and now you have a partner, you have a community here.
Yeah,
How did that come to life?
Well, fun fact, used to be married to a man. And then we got divorced, and at the beginning I was trying to still date men, because I was I want my life to be easier. I had just gotten back in contact with my family, and I was I don't want to make my life harder than it needs to be. And I kept trying to go out on dates with men. And I kept coming home, and my mom would be like, "How was this one?" And I was this one had really long toenails, or really long fingernails. And my mom would be like, "Aishah, that's a fixable thing." And I'm like, "No, I don't have, no, I can't do it." I come home and I pick something really small every single time. And then I realized it just wasn't working. So I went on Hinge and I changed it to everybody instead of just men. My first proper date was actually with Rue, my partner, who's over there. And history ever since, I guess. Through meeting them, I still had most of my friends were still from the community that I grew up in. Although I've always been the same, I hadn't really been able to kind of branch out. But through meeting Rue, I was able to meet a lot more people. I got into more art. I got into more of my hobbies, and thankfully I have quite a few hobbies, and through that I've been able to meet people. But honestly, I would say Hinge was my best way of meeting people, because my closest friends, my current
We are in trouble right now. I want to go back to the point that you mentioned earlier, that you met people through Hinge and then you now at this community.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Honestly, like my best friends, the people that I care about most have almost all been through Hinge. Just even when Rue and myself were together, we were like, maybe we'll try being poly. What if we explore this for a sec? And we went on there and we went on one day. That was the end of our poly experience. But we went on one day and that person ended up like being one of our good friends and we through them was introduced to like 5 different people and now we're part of this really big, beautiful group of like BIPOC queers and everyone is so loving and kind and like they're truly some of the best people I've met in my life and all of it is through Hinge. So I feel like I'm a big Hinge advocate.
I'm not on Hinge, so maybe I should do it. I can relate to that. Some of the best friends I have in my life I met through apps.
What happens is we'll just add each other on Instagram, realize we have lots of mutuals, realize we've seen each other at like other events, and then like it's just more so it's like an opening to like it's like a good what's the word? Like pathway.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. It's
Yeah.
a good pathway
Yeah.
to finding more friends. Because especially if you're not really someone who's social or you stay home or you have like chronic illness, whatever it is, work a lot, and you're not going out as much and it can be intimidating to go out to new places by yourself online. Anyways, you have like, you can find people who have similar lifestyles or beliefs to you.
Interests.
A similar interest. It means when you meet up, you already have things to talk about. You already there's a general direction you want to go in.
By the way,
It's
this is
all
not
out
a paid
there.
advertisement.
But they
Hinge.
should endorse me and maybe pay me money.
You also mentioned you have now a lot of hobbies and you meet people through that.
Maybe this experience is different for some people, but I'm quite introverted and I find it hard to like connect with other people. I'm confident, but I'm also like maybe very careful about not overstepping or not wanting to make other people feel like I don't know. I overthink it. So I end up not doing anything, not talking to people. But Rue, who is my partner, I have like a scary face. I walk around and people don't talk to me. They look at me and they're like, oh, you know what I mean? But Rue walks around and everyone like they look like a puppy. Everyone comes up to Rue and they talk to them all the time. And then through them, they're like, oh my God. So actually, maybe not super healthy, but honestly, most of my friends I've met through Rue because they're very approachable, which means that like by proxy, I'm then getting known as well. But by myself, I would say I just really like kind of went into my passions. Like when in the community I was in, the passions I had were not very they were taboo. I really love kink. I love pole dancing. I'm not a modest girl. I don't like to be modest. And these are all very bad things in the Muslim community. Or even just general community, honestly. So for me, I didn't have access to those things and it just meant I spent a lot of time kind of at home depressed. And when I finally left that community and I found my own community and I'm with someone who's really loving and supportive, it means that I was then able to, one, have the energy and time to do it, but two, also feel secure enough to do it and be like, it's okay if I fail. I'm doing this because it's good for me, not because I have to be amazing at it. By putting myself out there and focusing on what I want to do, the right kind of people naturally approach me, especially as someone who maybe doesn't approach others as much.
I can relate to that. Being an introvert, mostly I have introverted traits as well, but also I'm very confident and I can still go out and meet people and do all the stuff, but I think naturally. I
think something a lot of people maybe get confused is that introvert means being shy. An introvert just means that I am not energized by hanging out with people. I need to reboost by spending time by myself. It doesn't mean that I'm not confident. It doesn't mean that I'm not able to talk to people. It doesn't mean that I'm not I'm very expressive and I'm very confident. It's more like I have someone staying at my house right now and I'm like, I love them so much, they're my friend, but also please, where's my alone time, please?
I think you explained that better than I've ever explained myself.
Yeah.
I love being around people. I am 100% confident. I can be doing anything with anyone, but there's a limit, and then I really need to be by myself.
Yeah, I'm like, it's for your sake. I'm actually not a very nice person right now. I've not been my best this week, and it's because I'm just tired. But I'm gonna take some time for myself, and I'll be okay again.
Right. Point. So is it just poems, or do you write in general?
I write on my feelings. Sometimes I share them.
How does that help? Does it help you to express yourself to other people, but also does it help you to attract people who are interested in that or sharing those emotions and feelings?
Yeah, again, I think it's something that's like really personal for me, but then when I share it, people have reached out being like, you've said this so eloquently, I've never been able to put it into words. And it makes me feel good to share it and have other people feel like seen or understood. I think a lot of where I come from is like, even why I'm doing this video is because I want people who grew up like me to see me and be like, wow, actually, I really do have it all. I am very lucky and I'm very privileged in a lot of ways, but I still came out of like a community that is very different. And I have such loving friends. I have such a loving partner. I have 2 cats and a dog, and I'm living my best life. I really, really am. And I'm very grateful.
I'm so happy to hear that.
I think I'm still struggling to find more so my kid community, perhaps. Maybe we can join for this fun.
Hello, everybody.
No, more specifically, I am like the one who's very openly kink, very like, I'm searching and I'm always like researching, whereas Rue's just like,
I feel like my sexuality, I literally just found out I was queer when I was like 21, 22. So it's very recent, and I feel like being raised Catholic, I was very repressed. I feel like I'm very repressed. So I'm still like, I'm definitely kinky, I'm into kink and everything, but I feel like it's a practice I am more intimate with rather than going out. And I'm trying to go out, but I'm so scared. It's the scary, like, do I leave my bubble?
yeah, we come from like very similar stories, but we approached it very differently. Like, yeah.
And we're gonna talk about Rue's story as well. Another episode, so we can go into detail. I'm curious about something that you said earlier, that you don't see maybe people like you in certain places you go to,
Yeah. Like for example, I've gone to parties, and when I'm there, I'll notice there'll be like a lot, like maybe fetishization, or people who are like, wow, you look really exotic, or like just things that make you generally uncomfortable. And also, it's very hetero. I'm still struggling to find queer, kinky spaces, and when they are queer and kinky, they're generally very little BIPOC people, which means that it's not as comfortable, it's not as inclusive or accessible. I think it would be good to have maybe a space that feels safe and that centers people of color and people just to, I guess, not the majority, like the minorities, whatever that looks like.
I think there is a lot of events, but it's very specific to who it caters to.
I think I'm just like, I would say I haven't really found my kink community, and that's something that I'm still actively looking for. While I feel very loved within my queer BIPOC spaces, I haven't really found. Everyone I know is kinky, but no one's really talked about it too much, or there's not really many spaces. Okay.
Oh,
It's still taboo. I feel like, yeah.
Something I felt when I was going to these spaces as a South Asian, brown man, that I always look for people who look like me. But I've been to a lot of places that I couldn't see many people like me. There are people, but the majority, like you said, is not people like me. There was a point that I sort of got disappointed about it, or I felt very uncomfortable about it.
Especially getting fetishized.
But at the same time, I sort of changed my brain, my approach, to a way I felt that, well, if I don't see people like me, maybe that's why I need to be in that space. So I can get more people like me to come. There were moments that I was the only gay in the village. No, I was the only brown guy in the village. But there are a lot of people. Like, I have to acknowledge that there are a lot of queer South Asians in these spaces. I also understand the point you mentioned about being fetishized in these spaces, and I felt that a lot. And I had issues around that as well, and it really mentally affects you as well, because I don't know, you are talking to me because you like me, or you are just fetishizing. I can handle it to a certain extent, but when that keeps happening, you can't really have a connection with that person,
And
and
it
it's
places
really
assumptions on you. Like because they're fetishizing
Yeah.
you, they're just gonna assume like if they see someone who is like Asian and femme, oh, you must be submissive. You must, you know what I mean? Like
When I was
that's,
a girl, I was fetishized so much when I went to uni. It was insane. And then now that I'm like trans mask on testosterone, more people fetishize me. Asian and trans mask, it's like it's crazy. And I'm just like really wary about it for chasers. I'm like, get away from me.
something happened to me after sort of realizing this, how I feel around this situation. I realized that I actually do that as well. So it made me rethink my approach towards other people as well, because I do fetishize or fantasize around certain type of people, and I really didn't understand that until I actually felt that way. So that sort of changed the way I think as well. So I think I'm trying to sort of learn certain positive things around it and change my behaviors as well and look differently, but also to be vocal
being
about
more
it.
intentional and
Yeah.
being aware about what's happening.
And it's, I think it's sort of similar to like, you know, what I thought that you had to go through when you were in Malaysia and meeting so many people and, you know, going to so many schools. You could have easily be disappointed by it and think, oh my god, my life sucks because.
Don't get me wrong, it was the worst time of my life. It was the worst fucking time of my life.
But the way you
But
speak
what
about
I'm
it,
saying is, it really formed who I was, and I'm like proud of who I am because of the way I navigated. I
Yeah.
learned a lot.
I really appreciate that, because I think this is the same principle I'm trying to apply for this situation and a lot of things in my life as well. I feel shit and bad in a particular situation, but actually it helps me to grow, and then it sort of changed my worldviews around that as well. I think it makes me a better person. I think it makes us better people as
I
well
think I'm
that
quite a
way.
positive person where I'm like, when I experience something, it's like I learned something from this. For example, like I was with my ex for 4 years, and technically we should have probably broken up at the 1-2 year mark, maybe even never been together. But I'm like, I needed all of that time because I really learned who I am as a person. I really learned about, like, even in the last 2 weeks before we split up, I really learned about who I am. And I use that to navigate my choices today.
So proud of you.
Let them finish, let them finish! Everyone come in!
Mark's that.
We're all in the scene again.
You just like awkwardly handle.
When you think of your community that you have right now, your people,
Yeah.
what three things come to your mind?
I think for me, the first thing is like vulnerability or safety. That is something really big that I realized where like this year I went to a queer Eid prayer, and last year was my first time going to one, and I cried a lot. It was really beautiful and it was a very safe space. But then I also realized like I was crying so much and I was like, hey, if I had been in a different space, not this space where I felt safe, I would not have even felt vulnerable enough to cry. The fact that I was able to cry and feel my emotions was actually a really big thing. And I think that's for me the biggest difference to when I navigate like my friends and my community is, do I feel vulnerable and safe to express emotion? So that for me is the biggest thing. The second thing is like, what is the opposite of cancel culture? Like for me, we're all, especially in my age range where we're like in our 20s, I have people who are younger than me, people who are older than me. But for me, I want, like, we all make mistakes. As long as we take accountability and we are doing our best to kind of navigate that, we are all here to protect each other. It's like, even if you don't necessarily get along as people, at the end of the day, we are still in the same community and I'm gonna look out for you like you're my family. The third one, I don't know, joy. I feel so loved. I feel so happy. Like I come home when I'm hanging out with my friends and I realize my cheeks hurt from smiling. And I don't even, like, I don't know if you know this, you don't know this, but I was a really grumpy person growing up. I'm really grumpy. Like, people always like, you look so angry. And I'm like, now I'm starting to get little smile lines. And now I like smile so much, my cheeks hurt and I cry and I just feel really loved and like embraced and safe. So like safety and accountability and joy. Your joy is so beautiful.
I hope you can keep smiling.
Thank you for having me.
You know?
It's really important. I'm really happy to be a part of it, and I'm really grateful that you're doing it. You know what I mean?
Thank you so much. We are doing it, so
We
thank
are
you
doing
so
it.
much.
Lots
This
of
won't be
people who see us will be like, "Wow, this can be us," and that's really beautiful.
amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Oh, I really like that. That was so enjoyable.